Hi, I'm Steve Israel. I'm the broker of the Buyer's Edge, and we're exclusive buyers agents. We're always just representing home buyers on every transaction. One of the questions that we get so often in our business is what happens when somebody wants to open up a wall in their house, like between the kitchen and a dining room, or can you do it? Can you structurally do it? And so this is a really good and interesting example of exactly that, where this is a very old house that was built about 120 years ago in the late 1800s or early 1900s, an old farmhouse. And the kitchen was in this space that you're looking at that's in front of me. And the dining room was back here. And it had been previously renovated a number of times. The house has been added onto and renovated. So there are all kinds of different framing parts of the house that are really interesting. You can see some of the old ones, like up in this section up in here, where there's some very old timbers that are up inside, some of the original stuff. But this wall that was here, there was a wall right here between the living room, between the dining room and the kitchen. This wall that was here only had a small door going through it right here. And so we wanted to tear this all down and open it up into this room. And the kitchen is now actually going to extend. Cabinets are going to come in. There's going to be a center island in the middle and open this whole space up. And the question is how do you do that and get this whole wall gone and have the ceiling is actually going to be flat going right through? And in this case, which is not always the case, sometimes you have different things that have to happen. But in this one, we were able to use what's called a Flitch beam. And a Flitch beam does exactly this. If you look up in here, you can see that we replaced the old wall with a post that goes up off of this beam down in the basement. It goes up, and it's now carrying a new beam. See this triple beam that's going all the way across to the other side. And these beams, these joists are actually made out of, they're called glue lambs. Inside of the glue lambs, these little channels actually have a solid piece of steel in them. And each one of those pieces of steel was matched up and they had holes drilled through it. And the holes now have lag bolts that go all the way through there and there and there. And so the lag bolts are going through 2 pieces of 1/2-inch steel and 3 big glue lambs that run the span of this 12 feet. That's carrying all the weight above the house and carrying up from the floor, from the beam down, from the column and the beams down below, transferring that weight up because of these posts. So it's called a Flitch beam, and it fits up into that space. But when they did that, they had to take 2 walls, basically. They built 2 walls to carry the load. So that's why all of this was cut back, because they opened it up and they built a wall down this side and a wall down this side. And it was very tight so that they could cut these beams back, cut these old pieces of the house back and expose it. And then they were able to fit this beam in there at exactly the same height as the old ceiling, so that the whole thing will be smooth, it'll be open, we can carry lights and electricity across. A neat fix called a Flitch beam. So fun stuff from the Buyer's Edge.